If you're new to keto and want to find out what it's all about, here's a long video that goes into all the details. But if you just want the things in a nutshell, the first 3 minutes covers it all off. So stay tuned. Hello, I'm Steve and welcome back to Keto Fasting Life. So this video is in response to the people who keep asking me, people I meet new, like Mary just the other day, what is this keto thing all about? So I want to try and put together in one video, and this is going to be a long one, everything kind of encompassing what the ketogenic all about and why you do it and how it works. However, for those people who don't want to sit around for 20 minutes, or however long this video ends up being, I'm going to encapsulate everything right here in the very beginning. Here's the key points to take away. So, think of this. This is what happens when you eat food, specifically carbohydrates and sugars, your blood glucose levels go up. Your body, your pancreas, secretes insulin in a response to that to help deal with that blood sugar, to get your blood sugars down low. So you get a spike in the insulin after eating carbohydrates and whatnot, which in turn tells your body to store that glucose as glycogen in your liver and in your muscles for later use. And once those fill up, it stores the rest of it as fat on your body for use later on. So, and of course, if you never get back to burning that fat off, you get fatter and fatter and fatter and have all kinds of other problems like diabetes. So the goal of the ketogenic diet is to keep you in a state of what they call ketosis, where you're actually burning fat and creating ketones in your body for fuel instead. So you're eating foods that don't spike that insulin, or don't spike the blood glucose levels, and therefore don't spike the insulin and don't drive the storage of stuff as fat. So what does that mean? You're eating low carbohydrates. So generally you want your carbohydrate intake to be only 5 to 10% of your total calories. For a lot of people, that's 50 grams or less of carbohydrates. So a lot of people strive for 30 or even 20. You want to eat lots of fats, saturated fats, monounsaturated fats. You want 70 to 80% of your calories coming from fat. And I'm not talking about canola oil, that kind of polyunsaturated stuff. You're going for the saturated stuff like olive oil. Or monounsaturated fat like olive oil. And your protein, unlike the Atkins diet, your protein want to be moderate. So you're going to have 15 to 20% of your calories coming from protein. You want to have enough that so your body gets the protein it needs, but any excess protein you ingest will be turned into sugar in your body and you're off to down this thing again. So essentially you're going to avoid all sugars. You're going to avoid anything grain, flour, pasta, rice, all that kind of stuff. You're going to avoid root vegetables, so potatoes, sweet potatoes, turnips, or not turnips, carrots, those kinds of things. And you're going to avoid fruit. Yes, fruit. You're going to avoid all fruit. A few berries if you want to, but very, very moderate levels of that kind of stuff. But essentially, you're avoiding fruit. Don't worry, you get all your vitamins from veggies. So there's the whole thing in a nutshell. Now, you can stop there if you want to. I'm going to go now into more detail on all those kinds of things. So if you want to hang around for a bit longer and get into more details, great. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, when you eat carbohydrates, and particularly things like sugar, and it triggers this insulin spike, which triggers the storage of fat. It doesn't just trigger the storage of fat, it actually blocks the usage of fat. So the fat can't get out of the cells to use them. So that's what you want to avoid, obviously. The other challenge here with this is that your body, if it's continually exposed to something at high levels and for a long period of time, your body builds up resistance to it. And so what happens is over the years and over the decades of eating 3 meals a day or more than that with high carbohydrate levels, your body builds up insulin resistance. So what happens is your body becomes resistant to insulin, so that when you do have blood sugar rise in your body, you actually need to produce more insulin than before to deal with that blood sugar and get it stored. Of course, that creates even higher levels of insulin and feeds more resistance, and it becomes this vicious cycle growing and growing and growing, to the point where your poor body can't produce enough insulin to deal with the blood sugar in your system. Now you're diabetic, you're type 2 diabetic. And so the treatment in the past has been that the doctors would inject you with insulin because your body couldn't produce enough. Well, you can see where that's going. it becomes even more of a vicious circle. So they give you more insulin, you get fatter, you become more insulin resistant, they give you up your dosage, and away it goes, ever-ending spiral, and you die. So recently there's been lots of research doing into this and saying, hang on, let's stop treating the symptom. Let's start treating the cause. So the cause of why the insulin levels are going up is because of all these carbohydrates. So there's been a lot of research doing into a ketogenic diet to help cure or at least avoid type 2 diabetes, which has been very successful. Now, the best way to reduce the carbs in your system is to not eat anything at all. So in many cases, like with the work that Dr. Jason Fung has done, is he actually puts people on a fasting program. I mean, everybody fasts. Everybody fasts for typically 12 hours when they're sleeping. But you extend that period of time and your insulin levels drop way down and level off. And in many cases, as Dr. Fung has found, that type 2 diabetes can be cured, essentially, or certainly this reduced significantly, so the medication can be stopped or reduced significantly simply by putting people on a ketogenic diet or combination of some kind of a fasting protocol. So great benefits there. So you can see how this kind of thing works. So as you switch into the diet, and as I said earlier on, this 5 to 10% of your calories in carbohydrates, 70 to 80% in fat, and 15 to 20% in protein, most people don't know what that means. I mean, you start to read the labels in your food and you get an idea what it's going to turn out to be. But for a period of time, you're going to have to count your macros, as they call them, the carbohydrates, protein, and fat. But eventually you'll become comfortable with what kinds of foods have different levels of macros, and you will be able to just you can stop counting and just kind of do it by feel. All right, so here we go. Let's go into some details. So you're certainly going to avoid anything sugary. So that's obviously table sugar, brown sugar, honey, syrup, anything like that. And you read the ingredients list on a package, anything that ends with OSE, ose, dextrose, glucose, sucrose, fructose, all those kinds of oses, those are sugars. So you want to avoid all those kinds of things as much as you possibly can. Fruit is out. And fruit juice, oh my goodness, don't even think about fruit juice. They're so high in sugars, it's not even funny. So, but don't worry, you're going to get all the vitamins and everything you need from other foods. We're going to talk about that down below. So I'm sorry, but stop the fruit. Grains, so anything made with wheat, barley, oats, all that kind of stuff. So that's flours, all kinds of flours. Pasta, obviously made from wheat flour. Rice is another grain, very high in carbohydrates. What else? We got oatmeal, all that kind of stuff. That is out. So your traditional breads and all the kind of stuff, you're not having any of that. Root vegetables, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beets, parsnips to a certain degree, carrots. The purpose of a plant having a big tuberous root is to store carbohydrates. That's why they're high in carbs. So try to avoid all of those things if you can. Even things like winter squash, so butternut squash, acorn squash, spaghetti squash, those are all fairly high in carbohydrates. Avoid those. All right, and certainly any polyunsaturated fats. So that's your canola oils, corn oils, sunflower oils, all those kinds of oils that traditionally you've been taught are healthy. They're not. You don't want polyunsaturated fat in your diet. All right, so enough of the what to avoids. Here's the things you want to seek out. So, fatty cuts of meat. Now, it's odd because all the rage has been over the past 20 years to go for the low-fat versions. You're going extra lean ground beef and skinless chicken breasts. Stop all that nonsense. You're looking for the fattiest cuts of meat. So you want chicken thighs with the skin on. You want pork, lots of pork. Ribeye steak, of course it's terribly expensive, but all the steak that's marbled with lots of fat, that's the stuff you're looking for. Leafy green vegetables, so lettuce, Swiss chard, spinach, kale, all those kinds of things are fantastic. Even things like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, those kinds of things. You can look up all the macros of these things on the internet. Take a look at them. Those are terrific. So you're going to get all your nutrients and vitamins and all that kind of stuff from the vegetables you're going to be eating, and lots of them. But of course, on those vegetables we eat, you're going to put tons of butter. It's fantastic because butter is very high in fat and it's good fat. So speaking of butter, so high-fat dairy. Now, if you're avoiding dairy for other reasons, then that's a different topic. But if you're okay with dairy, then certainly go for the high-fat ones. My wife and I drank skim milk from the day, like 35 years ago when we first got married because it was supposed to be better for us. What a mistake. Now, if we not that we drink a lot of milk, but if we do buy milk, it's homogenized, 3.25% whole milk. But even in my coffee, I don't put milk. I don't put half fat, the 5% cream or the 10% cream or even the 18% table cream. I put in 35% whipping cream in my coffee because of the high fat levels. You're seeking out those high fats. It's the total reverse of what you've been used to. Try it out. So I put whipping cream in my coffee. It's fantastic. That leads people into these what they call bulletproof coffees recipes. I'm not going to get into that right now, but look up bulletproof coffee and you'll find it's coffee with milk or cream and butter and all kinds of good stuff. Okay, so then nuts. Nuts are a great source of high fats, but relatively low carbs. As long as you avoid things like cashews, peanuts to a certain degree, avoid those, but almonds, walnut, pecans, however you want to say it. The gold standard is like macadamia nuts, although again, they're like ribeye steaks. They're very expensive, but macadamia nuts are very high in fat. Great things to use. As far as oils go, you're looking for things that have saturated or monounsaturated fats in them. So olive oil is fantastic. Coconut oil is terrific. If you don't mind the taste of coconut, so whatever you're cooking it with, coconut oil is fine. Butter, obviously. Save the drippings off your bacon. So I always have a can of bacon fat in the fridge that I can use for frying stuff up. Mushrooms are fantastic fried in bacon fat. It's lovely. There's a thing that you'll hear about in the keto circles quite a bit called MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides. So you can buy MCT oil either online or in health food stores. It's kind of a coconut oil derivative. Actually has a very, very mild coconut smell and flavor to it, but not that much. It's a great thing to make salad dressings out of and that sort of stuff. It's just fantastic. The other thing, but if you really can't kick your sweet tooth, there are lots of artificial, or as I like to call them, alternative sweeteners you can use in place of sugar. So probably the most popular one is stevia. Stevia comes from an extract from the stevia plant. It is perfectly 100% natural if that's really important to you. Works very well. Tastes very similar to sugar, although not exactly the same. Erythritol is the other one that people use quite a bit, another natural one, or that in combination with stevia is popular. That in combination with the extract of monk fruit. If you look up monk fruit sweetener online, you'll find things. So if you really want to make desserts and those kinds of things, I've got here, I'll put some links towards the end of this somewhere with some links to some cheesecakes and whatnot. There's lots of desserts you can make if you can avoid that altogether, and it just makes your life simpler. But if you can't, there are lots of alternatives if you don't want to give up your sweets. The other thing that people ask me, can I still drink? Sure, you can still drink. Obviously, alcohol has calories in it. It doesn't have the insulin spiking response that other types of carbohydrates do. So it's not disastrous to have it on your ketogenic diet. So you can certainly have some drinks, but you're going to avoid beer. Sorry. If you're like me and don't like beer in the first place, not a big deal. But beer is very high in carbohydrates. So you're not going to have beer, but any hard liquor, vodka, rum, scotch, all that kind of stuff, whiskey are fine. Or dry wines, white or red. If you don't be going for a sweet wine. And if you're making mixed drinks, obviously you're not going to be using cola or something like that, sugary drinks to mix with. And you're not going to be putting in a lot of fruit. If you're into martinis and stuff that have a lot of fruit in them, you're not going to do that either, or put other sugar. Like I used to love an old fashioned, which is full of sugar and fruit and all kinds of stuff. Well, they're out. But you can certainly drink if you want to drink in moderation. Obviously, that's just nothing to do with keto. That's just in life. Drink in moderation and drink responsibly. Now, many people find as they get into the ketogenic diet and their body becomes what they call fat adapted. So your body becomes used to using fat for fuel rather than carbohydrates, becomes very efficient. It's great. People find they almost fall into a mode of fasting or intermittent fasting. So it's common for people on ketogenic diets to get up in the morning and not be hungry and skip breakfast. This old crock about breakfast being the most important meal of the day is nothing. Don't even think about that. That's crazy. So they might skip breakfast. So a lot of people get into what they call intermittent fasting, where you're extending that period of time where you're not eating. So they might not eat till lunch. They might have lunch and supper, or some people even extend their lunch to maybe the 2 o'clock time frame. So the point is you're kind of reducing the length of time that you're eating in and extending the length of time you're not eating, so your fasting window. And that just allows your body to spend more time using the fat stores that we all have in excess around our midsection particularly. So that's a good thing. So many people on a ketogenic diet find they only need 1 or 2 meals per day. And it almost happens automatically, but that's pretty up to you sort of thing. The only thing to keep in mind with fasting, certainly intermittent fasting, and particularly if you're going to do more extended fasting, you can do multi-day, multi-week fasts without any difficulty, without much difficulty at all. The only thing you have to watch for is electrolytes in your system. So things like sodium, potassium, magnesium, those kinds of things. If you're not eating, you're not getting those things in, but you are urinating them out. So most people find they get weak, they get headaches, they get a thing called the keto flu when they first start the ketogenic diet. Those are all things related to low electrolyte levels. People aren't paying attention to getting enough sodium in, or potassium or magnesium, muscle cramps if you don't get enough magnesium in. So often you want to supplement, if you're doing any kind of a fast, things with like a bone broth, or usually even a chicken soup broth, just not the soup, but just the broth part of it. Lots of sodium, that kind of stuff, and that'll help your body stay high in those electrolytes. So that's an important thing to remember. There's lots more information on this elsewhere if you go elsewhere and look for it. The thing is though, from a weight loss perspective, which is why most people get into the ketogenic diet, regardless of what you're eating, you have to maintain a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. In order for your body to digest the pounds that you have and use them up, you have to be not getting it in through food. Now, oddly enough, on the ketogenic diet, you can eat excess calories, and your body is pretty good at dealing with them. You certainly will put on weight to a certain extent, but not like you would have with carbs. But you need to have a calorie deficit to lose weight. So that means that you can't. It's not just wholesale eat as much as bacon as you want, although you can eat quite a bit of bacon. You still have to do some calorie counting and make sure that you are under your daily caloric requirements in order to lose weight. So don't think it's a free ticket, but that's okay. So keep all those things in mind. So in summary, you want to keep your carbohydrates as low as you can. You want to keep your fat almost as high as you can, and keep your protein requirements moderate. Do some calculations. There's lots of calculators out there for how much protein you should have, but if you target 15 to 20% of your daily calories in protein, you're probably okay. The ketogenic diet, there's tons of research going on right now. I think you're going to find, this is now 2018, in the next 5 years, this is going to become mainstream. There's lots of research going on. It's implied, there's implied benefits in lots of fields, not just like diabetes that I talked about. Things like brain trauma repair, ketones in your system are very good for that sort of thing. Even things like everything from multiple sclerosis, MS, skin tags, there's an oddball one. Cancer, lots of cancer research going on now, the ketogenic diet, gout, anything inflammatory is helped by the ketogenic diet. Even lowering of blood pressure, all kinds of things are being targeted as being benefits out of the ketogenic diet. So lots of stuff more to that to come. So if you want more information, so certainly subscribe to the channel. If you actually made it this far, you can click on the subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, watch all kinds of information on YouTube. There's tons of great channels out there with lots of in-depth information on various topics. Read. I'll put a link here to I just posted, my last video was a reading list of things that I've been reading. I'll post that, so read through some books and try it out. Like honestly, try it. I have lots of people I know who could not lose weight any other way. They've tried the ketogenic diet and the pounds are almost falling off. So, hope you enjoyed this. There's everything in a nutshell. If you have any further questions, certainly post them down below. I will attempt to answer them or direct you to where the answers are. And I hope to see you back here soon. Thanks for watching.